Hey guys, so I'm sad to say she said no. It was a lot to, I'm fucking with you. She said yes. Y'all, I am going to marry the most amazing, smart, strong, hilarious, crazy, loving, beautiful woman in this goddamn world, and I cannot fucking stand to keep it to myself. We had such an incredible time. She came home and was already dressed, so we went out. It was my turn to plan date night, so I was at an advantage. I took her to a place that was like the restaurant per first date was in. Sadly, the original is no more. And we shared stories about that date. I was nervous and word vomited like an overfed baby. She found me charming. We then retraced a walk we had when I first told her I loved her. She had claimed up at it and skirted saying it back. But now she tells me every fucking day, multiple times a day, even when she's pissed at me. We then ended at our city aquarium. Hey, quick trivia. I was once a professional mermaid there. You read that right. Chloe, eat your heart out. Where she stalked me just to ask if we are real, not just a fun summer fling, and to go steady. I took her to our favorite bar for karaoke, got down on my knee, and she stared at me and just went, "Shut the F up, are you proposing to me?" And before I even knew it, she pulled out a ring and we just laughed and kissed. We wanted to update you the good news. I'm up to sing at last, for karaoke, so gotta be on my toes to serenade my fiancé. Fuck me, you guys, I just said fiancé. I have a fucking fiancé. Me. With her. I'm so fucking dumb happy right now. Sorry. Rambling. Love you all so much. I love everything right now. A week later. Hey. So it's only been a week and stuff happened, but generally not enough for me to come back to our lil online chat and be like slams hands down on table will. But in my random Reddit scrolling, I got a message from a troll who linked a whole ass page of accounts with every insult under the sun about me. I'm insufferable, illiterate, not black. Honestly, that one was just mean, or gay enough, that too. And I had a good laugh at the gatekeepers of both things. Sorry, can't help either. And my not black enough black ass is bisexual and very used to being not gay enough for folks, so here's the thing, sweet peas, don't read my post. Woman shrugging. Let me explain to you the absolute bullshit of binary spectrums in communities. They are worthless and labels should only be used for clarifications and short forms. Like I say I am bi, right? An argument can be made that I am pan. Are they gone? Good. Just you and me again, boo. Fuck the trolls. I really only logged on to scroll before I found a troll page of bullies Mr. Miles would be proud of, but ain't that a thing because Mr. Miles has no time for that right now. And that might be because my little rainbow-themed home has been such a blessing. I have neighbors I've never met from blocks I've never visited who pull up in their cars and say hello. I've spent more time outside on the front porch because of it. This week has been magic. Not only am I engaged to the hottest woman around, but Daddy surprised us with tickets. Christmas in paradise. We are going to Aruba. It will be me, my boo, my mom and daddy, and a pair of friends that are more like siblings. Dinah has been so excited, though she would never admit it. I can tell she's thrilled because she's already got a suitcase out and in a week's time has been placing items and clothing within. It's adorable. We haven't told many people about the engagement. Dinah wants to send invites first in the mail and then post on socials. She's been in full wedding mode and it's terrifying and cute. I can't wait to marry her. I can't wait to share more about the wedding, but we are a way off from there. We won't be having a wedding for at least a year. She has family not here in country and it's hard to get schedules going. Plus she's in design mode and needs time to make it all perfect. So why am I here, other than to further make the trolls in and out of my DMs angry kiss mark? Well, it's because Mr. Miles actually crossed a line. Can't tell you what happened before, but I can tell you most of after. Whatever happened, Miles was out on the porch with his sister, and they were having a heated talk. Dinah and I didn't even really register it until I paused our game of Injustice, great game you should play, to grab a blanket and we heard them talking. Of course we minded none of our own business and rushed like kids to the window closest. Miles was drunk or something because his sister, I guess we will call her Candy, we don't ask women beyond a certain age their age, okay, kept telling him to be quiet and go inside and sober up. He got mad and she said that he can leave as he is not helping their mom, Suga, but making everything about him and his issues. He got in her face and started to yell, so Dinah and I stepped outside for several reasons, but one was definitely to be seen, so he knew if he put hands on her, there were witnesses. Plus we wanted to be able to step in if it did get out of hand. I said, "Hey Miss Candy, you good?" And Mr. Miles, loud enough for damn near the state, screamed at me, "No one wants your F***'s opinion." Candy slapped him, and Dinah was already on their porch before I even knew it. She was already pulling Candy back, but Mr. Miles just stood there holding his face. He called her a bitch. Then called Dinah a word I think would get me banned. Then said we were all incoherent but probably bigoted thing here didn't hear him. I don't speak bigot and am only mildly fluent in moron, but he was loud enough. Suga came out asking what the hell was going on here, and Dinah had no problems explaining our perspective. Suga looked at Miles and just told him to leave to his sons. Miles asked where he should go and she repeated to his sons. He asked which and she said whichever will put up with your bullshit tonight, Miles, I don't care. And she told me and Dinah to go in. We all did and we watched her lock the man out. He didn't even try to stop her, he just watched. And then he sat there for at least 45 minutes because we did check periodically. Not sure the situation because Candy and Suga will talk about anything but what? A week. Y'all. Yes, you damn right I am hanging out at the mailbox, pool, wherever to get the tea. Just don't have it all yet. LOL. 3 days later. Lord, this is becoming one of those sagas, but well, baby. God. The tea. Okay, so in my last post, I shared about Mr. Miles and his breathtaking lack of social awareness trying to take on his sister, Candy, resulting in him getting slapped by said sister, and then locked out by Suga. Yesterday I took a day off. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but I get vivid and awful flashbacks sometimes. Usually only when I'm overstressed or overstimulated these days, due to CPTSD, another story for another time perhaps. Well, as much as I prefer to keep it light, Mr. Miles acting that way with my fiancée within a physical range of him freaked me out a bit. I wanted to scold her for putting herself in a position where she could get hurt, but I remembered 2 very important things that made me shut the fuck up. 1. If that man of a certain age hit my girl, he wouldn't get a second hit because she can and will floor him, and part of me thinks she would want the excuse. As said by Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, as amusing as that might be. I still don't know where the jails are, and the whooping she'd give might land her there for at least a night. Too honestly, he's not that stupid. He is a moron. They like to pile more on, which is why he keeps upping his passive-aggressive bullshit. Different from an idiot, aka and I do it reactionary. See what I mean? Anyway, regardless, I got a bit stressed. I didn't sleep that night or the night after and had flashbacks for the first time in a hot minute. Nothing I can't handle. I've dealt with this most of my adult life, and I know how to recognize and cope with my symptoms. But that said, to cope and help me decompress, I took some PTO yesterday and sort of just hung around. I was out on the porch waving as folk went by. Even walked to the community pool for a lunchtime dip. And then I fuddled around the garden picking some food to cook and surprise Dinah. That's when everyone's favorite neighbor, I will call her Auntie, since that's what I actually call her in real life along with checks notes everyone else. She's our resident tea party aficionado. She lives to serve and spill everybody's tea. When Pop was alive, he would warn me to never volunteer info to her that I don't want God, her angels, Satan, his demons, and my mama to know. She's that person. She's sweet, truly, but if you ever want a secret spilled, she's your woman. I think she's 50-something, but I honestly don't know. She's claimed 30 for at least a decade. I don't think even she really remembers her real age. Anyway, she walked by while I was in the front garden beds, and we had one of those random chats people have when there is no polite way to just ignore one another or keep things brief for the sake of time. The South be the South. She asked me questions and I gave carefully selected answers per usual. She made very weird assumptions about Dinah, some of which I corrected, and some I left her to assume because, TBH, it's simply funnier that way, and then she got on to Mr. Miles. I heard Miles hollering out here like a damn dog and I laughed. I said he sure was, and maybe I am a jerk, but I hope he's let slip that he dropped a slur or two. Whoops. Sorry, not sorry. She then said he's been all sorts of messed up about his son. I inquire who, and she doesn't know which one, but one of them not too long ago came out to Suga, who, as you might guess, accepting him happily as is with no trouble. But Mr. Miles gowned out and hit the fucking roof. He was screaming and ranting and throwing things and shouting insults. If I had to guess, I think I know which son, but I'm not 100% yet. When I asked when all this happened, the time she gave aligned with right before Dinah moved in with me. Like maybe a month before, if memory serves. I had that aha moment right in front of Auntie, and she said, "Well, you just thought something good," and was trying to get it out of me, and I thought about it. It would really fuck Mr. Miles next few week at least if I let slip accidentally that he has tried to marry me off to his sons, so I told her. Fuck him. She acted scandalized and my mission was complete. I offered some of the veggies and went on my merry little way. I didn't think it through. Sugar was over right before dinner. I was frantically trying to cook. Y'all, I should not be allowed in a kitchen, so I just invited her in. We chatted like we do and she ended up helping me cook. And by helping, I mean she sort of took over in that way only mothers can by basically pitying you to death before they keep you from burning the house down. Pat pat. Good work honey, now it's the grown-ups' turn. As she cooked and I cleaned and set the table, she apologized because she didn't know Mr. Miles had called me a slur. I told her I had no intention of telling her since I didn't want to upset her. She said to hell with that notion, she's tougher than I think. She beat cancer after all. I just stared at her like, what does she mean? She looked at me like I was crazy and she said, well, didn't I get the invite? I said, what invite? And she is throwing a fuck cancer party to celebrate the end of her treatment. I told her that I am confused, I thought she was. And she stared at me like, what, girl, spit it out. So I told her what Mr. Miles told me about her dying and to not upset her. She stopped everything she was doing and spun around and shouted, he said what? And then explained she was in the hospital longer because in her excitement to go home, she fell and hit her head. So by their procedure had to keep her a while and do scans before release due to her condition and age. The closest she is getting to dying is merely age. I actually dropped into the chair next to me and bawled my eyes out. She wrapped me up in a big hug and tried to calm me down. She kept saying, baby, I ain't gonna leave you just yet. Now stop that crying. And I just screamed, I can't, laughing and crying at the same time. I can't break down all the memories I have with this woman. She's our community mom, grandmother, and all in between. She's the glue that keeps us a community. She keeps the peace, helps you out, offers you comfort. Stealing myself for her loss was taking so much of my energy. It's the reason even though Dinah and I wanted the wedding out at least a year, we kept it as soon as possible within that time. We wanted her there. A weight didn't lift from my fucking shoulders, it was an entire building. She went from comforting to angry once I calmed down, cursing Mr. Miles to herself. And she said, this is why, that boy. And she saw me listening to her and shrugged. She's kicking him out. He's been really terrible and has been talking about all he will inherit when she got sick at the beginning. She endured listening to her own child sounding almost like he was over her death before she died and moved on to gimme, but then he started to mistreat me and Dinah, and that was enough for her to be sure she wanted Candy to be her caregiver. The night he was drunk and a special slice of stupid a few days ago was after she told him he needed to find a new place to live as Candy, and her husband will be moving in after Halloween to see after her for a bit. We finished cooking and Dinah had gotten home. She actually saw me in the kitchen apron as I went to greet her in the front and smiling, I swear. She just went, oh no, what's the damage, lol woman, I cook for you and that's your reaction? I bring her inside and we insist on sending Sugar home with a plate of the food she mostly cooked and she went home. Over dinner I spilled all the tea to Dinah, who reacting similar to me at the news that Sugar will be okay. She still has a couple conditions to monitor but death's not coming stealing just yet. We then place bets on which son came out. If I am right, we're getting a small hot tub. If she's right, I have to take over chores for 2 months. So we will see. Anyways, I returned to work today, and didn't have time until now to post. How's the tea taste, y'all? And just a hearty thank you for following my cray-ass life. It's helpful to have fun with it and see the humor with so many friends. It really helps me release some stress at the same time. Thanks a lot. Edit. Had to make a quick text, but we're getting that damn hot tub. I was right. It was James. 3 days later. Coming up to the top before I post to say, this became an emotional, long, crazy, and sentimental post. I'm sorry, not sorry, blame it on the boogie. Coming back because Dinah had read this and said I should say at the top that you should be warned about content around self-harm and homophobia. Hey boo. Been missing you. This might be not as entertaining, but I am a little sad on top of all the other feelings. This might be my last update on this crazy-ass saga. Why? Well, it's all about Miles. No Mr. Here anymore. I'm Southern, but that ass doesn't deserve the respect and I am feeling spicy today. Long story short. Fuck, who am I kidding? It's never short with me. Sit down, get comfy, have some tea. I hear I'm great at spilling it. So I texted James to confirm my suspicions that he was the son Miles flipped out about being gay. James confirmed it but asked if he can call me later and I agreed. I can't remember if I've said in these posts, but he and I are close. Not best friends or anything, but intimate in the sense that we don't lie to each other and always have had this kind of unspoken pact to always be honest. And by the gods was that man honest. I'm allowed to share all this, by the way, as per our agreement. I didn't lie about these posts. He said the names were different, but he heard it on TikTok, God I am old, and felt it was too similar and he'd been meaning to ask me. I laughed and he had a great time teasing me for always being one to give an account of events with a flourish. I argued that that's how we cook around here, with seasoning. But then he got serious. He apologized for not coming out to me. TBH, it did hurt me deeply that he didn't see me as trustworthy. It took a good and deep talk with Dinah to realize that feeling was selfish, and we all have different journeys in realizing and sharing who we are in this crazy-ass world. She reminded me of my own crazy story. I'll have to tell you. I think I will post it someday for the cathartic release of it all. And y'all are such absolute gems. I feel like maybe you're not my neighbors in the real sense of it, but you are in my soul. So I got my head out of my ass and somewhat started to get over it. I'm human. I did tell James all of this, and he seemed pretty sad. I said that I wasn't blaming him and assured him that his journey is his. I am not mad at him or anything, and given how his dad reacted to me being queer, I get it. He then told me what happened. James realized he was gay when he was in college, but his father and grandfather had very detrimental views of those in sin, so he squashed it and threw it, and his real self, firmly in the closet. Sometimes that monster, as he viewed it then, came out like a trauma response when he got overwhelmed or stressed out, and one day after graduation, he had been in something of a relationship with a guy James is asking me to call Adonis, LMFAO, and they wanted to eventually get married. The problem of Dear Miles still was in play, so James started to go in a dark place. It ended when Adonis came home and found James in his own sick after he swallowed a bunch of his pills for sleeping. They pumped his stomach and he was okay in the end physically, thank the ancestors for that, but his mind was in shreds. He started therapy at the insistence of his BF. He started to feel like himself, his real self, and became the most grateful bastard in the world that his attempt to end himself didn't work, because he says his life now is absolutely incredible. So once he recovered, he went to visit his dad and grandmother. When he got Suga alone, she was cooking his favorite meal, jollof rice and fish. If y'all haven't had this, you need to try it out. It's not a hard recipe, it just takes time and love. I will share the recipe with anyone interested. When I got the house after Pop died, Suga shared hers and I've adapted it to my and Dinah's taste. Lord, sorry, you know how I can sometimes go off on little details. Anyway, he's with Suga and she's telling him that she missed him and why hasn't he visited, and he slipped and said he was hospitalized, and she obviously wanted to know more, so he just up and told her everything. Feeling not his full self, meeting Adonis in college, having his first time with him, falling in love with him, all of it. He was so sure she'd kick him out, but he says she just smiled at him, brought his hands to her forehead and kissed his cheek. She said she already knew he was a little on the pendulum of sexuality since he got into his teens, but she was swelling with joy that he trusted her enough to tell her. He felt emboldened by this and decided he would tell his family at dinner. Which Auntie, as I mentioned in another post, told me about the outcome of that. Afterwards, Miles did everything he could to convince his son that living in sin was wrong. Adonis is a demon. He just needs to marry a nice girl, become a father beyond the oath God outlined for us. And I don't think the word count will allow for me to outline all the fucking abuse this man threw at James, but what I will say was that in telling me about it, James broke down several times. It broke my heart and ignited a part of me I didn't know I had: rage. Pure and unbridled. I felt a rage, something fierce, and I couldn't let go of it. I thanked James for telling me and he said, "Hey, add it to your little saga. I'll be reading to see what seasoning you put on it." And then we made plans for me to meet Adonis next time he comes around the area, but he did text me a photo and, child, he really did find a hot one. Think of, say, Chris Evans and then Keanu Reeves, and imagine they made a baby with the real Adonis, and that will be close. Abs, blue eyes, killer smile, he's a model. James bagged a fucking model. Sorry for the cussing, but damn. Even Dinah thought he was hot, and her door does not at all swing that way. I told Dinah about my chat with James and she said we need to really foster that friendship more. I asked her what she meant and she said, "Whenever you talk about him you look happy. I think he's a real touchstone for your joy of childhood." And I thought about it and she was right. James, I know you are reading too. You really are such a brother to me. I know we don't talk often and I know we both have lives, but you are as much a part of me as my eyelashes. I'm lucky to have you, so don't you ducking dare be a stranger. Yesterday was insanity. I worked a half day from home and there was a knock at the door. It was Suga. She brought some food because she saw me through my window working away and figured I needed to eat. If you don't have a community Suga mama in your life, I am sorry. They are the best. We ate and talked and she said she had news. Miles isn't coming back. His sons refused to take him in, drunk as he was, that night, so he ended up at his GF's house. And I know for a fucking fact everyone who says my posts are fake will point to this very moment, but I swear there is no way to make this up. He proposed to said GF and she accepted his crusty ass. Girl. And he calls his mother to say that now she has to choose. She is not invited to his wedding until she apologizes and helps him fix James. I literally was howling a no he did not, and she's screaming, oh yes he did, baby, back and forth for what felt like hours. You ever have that? When you just are sharing something so ridiculous, and you both know it's ridiculous and you just can't get over it. That feeling. We laughed and then I saw her get a little sad. This is already super long for a single post, but in that moment, Suga just shook her head, and she said she really tried with him. He's her son and she loves him so much, but he's not a good person. Then she went through specific moments where she might have gone wrong. Like she was what's called here a whipping mama at first. If you're not Southern, that's code for she was a spanker. She learned after her other children that hurting them ain't healing them, and she never raised a hand to them again. But Miles still came out needing to be a big man. It's why his first wife left him. Second too. Didn't know he had the first wife myself, so that's new but explains a lot. I always thought the second was his only. She was sad and I hate seeing people I love sad. You may have picked up on this, but I am awkward as hell. Not great in emotional situations. And when I saw her wipe a tear, my brain broke and did the fuck fix it spiral, or what Dinah calls my Jack O'Neill. If you get the reference, I love you mode. So I went with being funny. I told her about talking to James and made fun of both our stories and how weird it was that folks so close to each other are still not close to each other sometimes, because he didn't tell me he was gay and I didn't tell him I was bi. It all had to come out after the family drama. I swear I was funnier, but Dinah is making me cut that part to be brief. We laughed and she said that she sees me like her own and loves me like a daughter. She wants me to be happy with my love the way she wished she could have been with hers. She doesn't regret her children, but Mr. Richard, her late husband, was only nice as an older man. He was wretched to her when they were married young. She married him some out of a platonic type love, and the rest out of pressure to be normal. We hugged and I said something about my posts. I'm a moron. Sorry. And she got very confused. I said I only mention it to say that she has so many people now who see her as I do. A treasure. And I screenshotted y'all's sweet comments about her and texted them to her. Today she's asked me to print them out for her. I'm waiting for the printer to be done now, which is why I am typing on my phone. Candy texted a thank you saying that Suga was low after kicking Miles out, but she was happier when she got home from visiting me. Can't say why, but that made me cry. Jury is out on if that's good or bad. Dinah and I both agree, and Mom is on board to pay for one of those online classes and ask Suga if she will officiate us. I have no clue how I will ask her, but I really want her to be a part of our wedding in a really special way. We're still spitballing about it and of course we have time, but I want it to be special. She is so much a part of me, of us, I need it to be highlighted. And the reasons I am posting today. I was told by Candy that Miles took his belongings early this morning. He refused to speak to anyone in the house and just silently took his stuff and hauled it into his truck bag by bag. The only thing he said was he's never coming back, and now they've lost a son/brother. Candy said she said back that he's no brother of hers. So with Miles gone for good, I guess so is the end of this weird-ass saga of mine, lol. Dinah looked up subs and shit I can post on about other stuff, but this, I don't know, feels almost like a goodbye. Weird. I'm emotional about it. I'm so glad Miles is gone, but damn. I'll miss you and our timely little tea parties. Take care of yourselves and be good to yourselves. Remember to eat well and hug your family, chosen or bio, close. A couple of items I want to spell out, call it housekeeping. All names were fake or nicknames, so no, I probably am not the person next door. That was an actual message I got a lot. Yes, I call my stepfather daddy. It's not weird to love a paternal figure who loves you like his own. Will be walking you down an aisle, has dried your tears, told you that boy, girl or person didn't appreciate you and took you out for treats just to see you smile. He is my hero in the weird messages and comments about him. Just get therapy. Not here to kink shame, believe me, but Christ on bikes Batman. Sugar mamas are a thing. Do you not have those? That's so sad. They are the best. Maybe you call them something different. For me, in the culture I grew up in, they're usually women without children, but all of them are maternal, loving, safe, trusted, and will hound you to get your shit straight. Or gay lol, sorry I couldn't help it, I am a child. Yes, we are looking for hot tubs, and yes, we are going to be sure that Suga and Candy can come by to enjoy it too. Dinah speaks several languages and English is not her first language. I might be marrying a spy, but you got to admit that's pretty hot. Even if I die. And yes, people do WFH lol, what odd conspiracy theories I've read that I am not real because I WFH. I own a business and work full-time, and I also program here and there by contract. Now you know. Lastly, I was an English major. If that doesn't tell you something, it should. Thank you all. My heart is full. Edit. Got a few asks for the recipe. You're so very welcome for the droves of humans who will bow at your feet for this. Okay, so here is what you will need. 2 cups long grain rice. Not any other type, just trust me here, okay? Otherwise the type doesn't matter. And if you can, make it parboiled rice. Then 3 tablespoons vegetable oil, but I did use avocado oil before when I hadn't gotten groceries and I didn't notice a huge difference. 1 chopped red onion, white works fine but red is better. Minced garlic. Now that is something you measure with your heart and nothing else. I tend to throw garlic and cloves at everything. Grated ginger, now just be careful with it. It's a powerful flavor like salt and you can't unginger, but again measure with the heart. 1 red bell pepper that you will blend to baby food, about 4 medium tomatoes, also into baby food 2 tablespoons tomato paste, which is already baby food. The rest is pretty normal. 1 teaspoon curry powder, 1 teaspoon thyme, 2 bay leaves. Don't leave it in or it will taste bitter. 1 teaspoon paprika, 1 ghost pepper if you're feeling spicy, 2 cups chicken or vegetable stock. Dinah comes from a vegan family, so I've done the vegan version of jollof and seasonings to your or your guests' tastes. That's all for the rice alone, which is very tasty, but if you want to really kick it into high gear, here is what you need for the fish. For the grouper fish. However many fresh or fresh as you can, grouper fish fillets is best, but in a pinch find the best flaky white fish and pray lol. 2 tablespoons olive oil, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, minced garlic, 1 teaspoon paprika, 1 teaspoon cumin, half a teaspoon cayenne pepper. If you're feeling spicy, fresh cilantro for garnish. 2 tomatoes chopped into quarters, 1 green bell pepper chopped into bits. If you've got all that, here's how you make a woman want to marry you, or man, person, whoever. Make a fish marinade. Use a bowl, toss in your olive oil, lemon juice, garlic, paprika, cumin, cayenne pepper, salt and pepper. You rub that on the fish and let it sit for a half hour, and OMG, you're about to see heaven. Now make sure you heat oil in a large pot. You'll need the real estate, trust me. Over medium heat. Add your onions, garlic and ginger and sauté. Stir in the blended tomatoes, red bell pepper, and tomato paste. Cook for about 20-ish minutes, stirring until it's as thick as your life for yourself. Now add the curry powder, thyme, paprika, and bay leaves and stir that up like your gossip buddy does drama. Pour in the chicken/vegetable stock and bring the mixture to a simmer, then rice next, making sure it's evenly distributed in the sauce. Cover the pot and dial down the heat to low. Let it cook for a half hour, but do not walk away from it. Stir it so the rice is fully cooked and fluffy. Yes, the fluff matters. Here it gets a little intense. While the rice is cooking, you also need to heat your pan over medium heat. I use the Couts because no stove is the same, and add a bit of olive oil. Sear them fillets for 5 minutes on each side until golden brown and cooked through. Do not rush this. In the last 2 minutes of cooking, toss in the chopped tomatoes and bell peppers around the fish. Sauté until soft. Put your cilantro on that and let your partner grovel at your greatness. They will propose, so stand ready lol.